Mr. President, I rise to ask that the Senate today adjourn in memory of Joanne Schivley, who died in November at the age of 92. Joanne Schivley doesn't court ambivalence. That was the lead sentence of a profile about her in the local paper when she retired from the Vallejo City Council. Joanne was committed, direct, stern, tough, a bit like the city where she was born and raised and where she stayed her entire life. People she served with over her 3 terms on the city council tend to have, let's say, strong opinions. The arc of Joanne's life spans much of Vallejo's modern history. She was born in 1932, at a time when we started to see for the first time housing ads, advertising opportunities for great schools, great walks, and also racial restrictions that would create a great place to raise a family. Vallejo, as it was becoming more and more popular as a place to live, partly because of Mare Island, the shipyard's growing business, was struggling with its racial future and with equity. Joanne graduated then in 1949 in the midst of a growth boom created by World War II, which further fed the jobs at Mare Island, building ships and submarines. At just 17 years old, Joanne took a job as a clerk at Bank of America, a business that she described as still dominated by men, but she found her calling, and she was a banker through and through. But then a challenge came that Joanne had not planned for. Polio was a scourge of post-war America, striking particularly hard at children and at young people. And Joanne contracted the virus in 1951 and spent years in the hospital before returning to Bank of America, this time in a wheelchair. She could no longer walk, but Joanne quickly learned how to use her voice. "Yes, it made me a strong person," she said of polio, "but it's also given me the opportunity to pave the way for a lot of people, both in my career and in the political arena." She spent nearly 50 years at the bank and rose to the rank of assistant vice president. She drove her own car, and she enjoyed a life full of family and outings to enjoy good food, plays, and musical performances. On the city council, she pushed for the installation of wheelchair ramps at city intersections. She helped create the reuse plan after the Navy pulled out of Mare Island in 1996. And she fought to make sure that Vallejo came out of bankruptcy. I know everyone is aware that Vallejo has a global reputation as the home from Hogan High School, where the Auditor General of Argentina, the Vice Chair of the Joint Legislative Audit Committee hail from, and Joanne too. She was a banker faced with bankruptcy in the city of Vallejo and fought hard to make sure that the city emerged victorious. She was always put together in full lipstick with a smile on her face. She was nice, but she did not hesitate to speak her mind. She was the leading critic of successive city managers and argued that a controversial proposal to build a natural gas plant, which ultimately failed, should have been passed by the voters. The former mayor, Tony Incentoli, served with her on the city council and said that she had a furious approach to city business and was involved in every aspect of the city. And another colleague said, "If you want to challenge Joanne, you better know your business." Every city needs champions like Joanne Schivley, people who are willing to give their time and energy, even if it's exhausting, willing to sacrifice their friendships for the future of their community, people who aren't afraid to speak up for what they think is right, even if and when people don't like it. At a time when people move around so much, it's remarkable to see someone devote themselves to a place for 92 years. Polio united Joanne with her wheelchair, but that never stopped her from standing strong for Vallejo. I ask that we adjourn in her memory.